Getting this live set up. Good Dr. Brother Steve. How are you doing, sir? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I'm just trying to get this live set up on YouTube.
About to walk to Starbucks. Real.
Okay. So today, I kind of wanted to have a brief discussion on manhood and mental health. And I invited a couple of my dear colleagues and friends to join me on this. Um, and they'll be chiming in real soon. But while we are preparing for this, let me give a let me give a brief introduction. My name is Dr. Malik Raheem, and I'm the founder and chief executive officer of a small organization called NAS Healing Collective. And at NAS Healing Collective, our mission is to address mental health disparities in underrepresented communities on the Chicago South and West Sides. And we try to provide quality, holistic mental health services, mental health education, and overall community education to transform the communities and support individuals and families in crisis. So it's like that's what we do, and what we want to do here is kind of do have a brief discussion. And what I want to do is bring these discussions periodically, monthly, with different topics throughout the community. And if you're ever interested in joining in on one, please contact me and I'll get you on board. But what um, what I want to talk about is the horrific disparities and the myths and the stigma of mental health with men, especially men of African descent. A lot of times we get these messages, and right now my dear sweet friend Stephen Woods. He's a scholar and a very educated man, and what I want to do is get some narratives and stories about what is happening in our community with um, men and why we believe men don't seek out the help that we need. Um, when I was younger, the messages I received was to be stoic, to be a provider, to be strong. And it's taken some time to break some of those messages, but because those messages can be toxic if they don't have you seeking help. So, Steve, what was the messages that you received growing up as a young man on what it meant to be masculine and to be a man?
Well, I received those same sentiments that to be stoic, don't let anyone see you sweat, and just to overall be a man of valor, if you will. So, not allowing folks to dictate what you do, um, even in a work environment. Never let folks see you sweat. Um, that sort of thing. And those sorts of things can, when you bottle those things up, man, it can be a time bomb because you're not really expressing your true self. You're wearing all these different masks just to cover up things.
Yes, true. Thank you for that. growing up, I had so much trauma that I always tried to hide it and shield it. So much so that early on when we first met, Steve and I, hopefully the other brothers can join in when they get a chance to. But little dark, secret, tell a little dark secret about our friendship. We tried to form a fraternity, right? And I remember one of our friends, he was, God rest his soul, he was Orlando. He was really, really big in this. And I remember I wasn't really big into fraternities, but I wanted to join because I wanted to be, have a sense of belonging, sense of brotherhood, right? And so when we went out to go get our little, shirts made and all this, and we had to come up with our names. And everybody was coming up with these cool names, and I didn't know what name to get me. And so Orlando said, well, just pick something that fits your personality. And I gotta confess, the name I picked scared people, but that's how I viewed myself at the time. And the name I picked was The Omen, right? Because growing up, I was always looked at as being, because I was so dark in the family, I got messages that I was bad, that I was evil, that I was scary. And that became like a survival thing for me, to be bad, evil, scary, so people won't get close to me. So I couldn't be vulnerable. But as I matured and grew, right, I started learning that a lot of times you got to release that, because, like Steve just testified, that it becomes a pressure cooker, right? And so it won't be no explosions. I sought out therapy, right? And the thing about it, the ironic thing is, I didn't really seek out therapy until I was trying to become a therapist, right? And so I started learning how powerful therapy can be for us as black men. So as I want to put on this little discussion, and it's going to be a brief discussion, but I want to put on this discussion, hopefully to reach out to the community, whether you are a black, male yourself, you identify as a black male yourself, or other black males, that you can encourage them to seek help, right? And I try to get as many, as my friends on. I'm kind of trying to get it to where it's not just me talking, but to get everybody to have a conversation to try to save our black men. Because when you look at the statistics, men are 3 to 4 times more likely to die of suicide than women. We're less likely to go out and get help than our women, right? But we still receive these messages about being stoic, and with the systemic racism and the different oppressions that we receive as a community. But black men, we get these messages that we got to be the protector and the provider. But a lot of us don't have the income to be the provider. So what did that do to your sense of masculinity? Right?
So, Dr. Raheem, one of the things that I think of when you talk about, you know, men being able to go to therapists and that sort of thing, the first thing that comes to my mind is trust. Um, to be really frank, it's hard for me to share that sort of information with somebody that I don't trust, because I always feel like I'm on guard. You always have to keep your guards up. So to be able to share that kind of information with someone that that's bothering you, that's that intimate, you really have to trust the individual. And even in the healthcare industry, just like you said, mental health, a lot of times, for example, I would purposely seek out an African American that could relate to my situation, in terms of being able to talk to them. But even in that case, sometimes those things don't always pan out the way that you would expect, because they don't, you kind of open yourself up too much, and that individual may not necessarily have your best interest. So I would say, for me, it's a trust factor.
Thank you for that testimony. And I really would wish that many of my former and current students can hear your testimony, right? Because I think a lot of times they go in and think counseling is easy, that they can just walk in and just establish a relationship. And when you have a history of generational mistrust with not only the mental health community but the health community period, right? With the things that happened in our community, as far as, like, you have the Tuskegee experiment, right? That kind of, even though we haven't experienced that personally, that mistrust with medical professions have lingered on into our communities. We have I did a lecture in my class about the racial disparities and discrimination and in psychology and the psychiatric field, and very few people know that in the 50s, when the civil rights movement was just happening, um, the American Psychiatric Association, who creates the DSM, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, they changed the definition and criteria for schizophrenia because the country was so fearful of the civil rights movement that later on moved into the Black Power movement. Before the Black Power movement turned to assimilation, it was about liberation, right? But you had capitalists take over the Black Power movement, but that's a totally different discussion we could have when we have our monthly lunches, right? But so you had a, a influx of people of African descent, especially black men, being diagnosed with schizophrenia, right? Because of the fear the United States and the United States government had with black men standing up, like, people like Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture, right? So them brothers standing up put fear in their heart, and it kind of circled back to where when we were enslaved, this pseudo scientist named Dr. Cartwright came up with this pseudo diagnosis called drapetomania, where he was diagnosing black people who didn't want to be slaves, who ran away, as mentally ill. So it's like what they basically did was they changed the dynamics of a diagnosis like schizophrenia to make it a black man's disease because black men weren't behaving like they thought we should. So it's like those traumas create a fear and a distrust of the mental health community. And what you're saying, your testimony, is very important because I've heard it a lot, right? I've heard it a lot, you know, and it's very important to understand as therapists to understand that fear and to also look into it to where, as therapists, we create a safe, comfortable, culturally competent environment for our clients, especially black men, right? Because the messages that we receive in society already pushes us away from mental health services. Okay? And then, like you said, speaking to someone you don't know about pertinent information and making yourself vulnerable is scary. So it's like, how do I trust this person? Is this person going to betray me? How is this person going to see me? right? Those things I think resonate with not only what you said, it resonates with me because it was a hard time for me when I went to go see a therapist and start sitting down with a therapist. Like, how they gonna understand me? So much so that I found a sister, a black woman, to work with me, and I think that was the beginning of my healing, right? So that's why I try to get and try to encourage more black men to get into the professional counseling, the therapist field, because just like education with teachers, we need black men to help with the healing process.
Yeah, I think the younger generation, the Gen Z folks like that, they're a little bit more apt to seeking out that kind of help.
Right.
I'm not sure why that is, but they're all about being healthy in that kind of way. I think the Gen X, our folks, we're still kind of holding on to the stoicness and be able to kind of get through some things on your own. And unfortunately, that actually leads into a lot of other things that it's probably a different topic, but when you are holding all these things inside of you, it could lead to issues with blood pressure or which kind of leads to other type of issues with if that's uncontrolled, it can lead to kidney issues. I mean, it can just lead to a whole number of physical challenges just by keeping all those things bottled up inside. And you tend to see a lot of us, unfortunately, I think, leave this earth too soon because of those stresses.
Right. I totally agree with you. And also having food deserts. What we
Exactly.
what we eat has contributed to our health and our mental health. Right. It contributes to our mental health. But what I would encourage you as we start winding down. Thank you for your time, Brother Steve. But I know you're busy, so we're gonna start winding down in a few minutes. But one thing I would encourage you, just like I would encourage anyone else, right? Um, Although ethically I cannot be your therapist, right?
Right.
Because we have a friendship and a brotherhood, and it'll be a dual relationship, right?
Right.
If you ever feel a need, you ever feel a need to where you need to reach out, if you feel comfortable talking to me, right,
Right.
I will help. And that
Thank
goes
you.
that goes to anyone that goes to anyone who's listening or to the broadcast live or able to listen to it afterwards. Is like I want I'm trying to have that's one of the reasons I founded this foundation, this nonprofit, is to reach out and try to do what I can to save the community, right? Now, while I might not be able to save everyone, my mission is to try to save people. Um, I'm not looking to become rich, but I'm looking to spiritually save the community. So it's like if you need to text me and say, Dr. Malik, hey brother, I need to talk. It's confidential. We'll talk. I can't be your therapist, but I always want to help relieve some of that pressure, right? Because like you said, it's so painstaking to carry that alone, right? Until you can find someone you can trust, and I would do everything I can to help you find someone that you can actually get, solid, holistic professional counseling with at an affordable price. Whether you have insurance or not. But in the meantime, if you ever felt that you needed to just talk, if you feel comfortable to talk to me, because while I am a licensed counselor, I'm also your friend. And even though it won't be, real counseling, it'll be a reach to try to help a brother out.
No,
Now
that
we
that
have
makes sense. Even though, like you said, we're friends. I know you.
right. So it would be non-judgmental, and I would do everything I can to help you. But like I said, I can't enter into a counseling relationship with you because of our friendship and our brotherhood. But I would never leave you out there dry. We have joining us the commander, Joseph Nunn. Uh, so he couldn't even keep a straight face. But we had the commanders, Joseph Nunn, joining us. But that offer is not only for you, but it's for anyone, right? To where it's like I would do whatever I can to help you, solve any issues that you need. Now, unfortunately, some people I'm not going to know, so we'll probably have to enter a therapeutic relationship. But if I can help anyone, I would do what I can. But Joseph, what we were basically talking about was mental health and the stigma that black men go through as far as seeking help. And we were kind of telling our story on the messages that we received about how as black men we were told to be stoic and to be strong. I don't know how many times when I was a little guy, when I was a little boy, people would tell me, "What you crying for? Stop crying," you know, or even being told, "I give you something to cry about," right? And that create a culture where we don't learn how to fully express our emotions and not to be human. So it's like Steve briefly told us a story. Would you like to share anything before we get off the call? You're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
You went back to mute.
Okay, what about now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Um, yeah, I mean, a lot of it is lore, if you will. It's like you said, when you would get a whooping, and the shit hurt, and be like, you better stop crying, I'm gonna give you something to cry about. So it was almost like you better, I'm gonna keep hitting you, but you better repress this shit. And we kind of grow up into adulthood with that. And especially in our communities where, you kind of got to keep a stiff upper lip, and I think a lot of times we go through things, specifically in our community. And, we've always been taught to, hey, keep it moving, keep it pushing, Um, and what happens is you get a lot of men who for years have repressed things that they felt. Um, I don't say I've been privy to, but I've seen like now, uh, a lot of men, or specifically black men, are, they meet up, uh, just to talk about things that they're going through. And a lot of time that takes a lot off. If you guys have ever watched, the show The Shy,
Mm.
all of those guys, and a lot of them come from different backgrounds. They're going through different things, but they get together every now and then and they just talk. They talk things out. They say what's going on in their minds and things they've been going through. And a lot of times, man, just putting stuff out there is, getting it off your chest. It makes a big difference. So uh, I do believe that's something that we need to do more of now. Take the stigma off of, oh, be strong, hold it in. And a lot of times all that does is just repress things, and it ends up coming back, or when you finally release, some undeserving soul gets all of that, and it's like, whoa, where did that come from? So um, yeah.
Yeah. That, yeah, that's true. As you were speaking, the first thing that came to my mind is that famous scene in the movie Glory, where Denzel character ran off to steal some boots or something like that, and so when he came back to the battalion, they ordered him to be whipped. And when they took off his shirt, there was so many whip marks already there. But then when
Hmm.
they started whipping him, he stood there and just stared at the commander and just had that one little tear roll
Right.
down his face, right? And
Hmm.
it's like that analogy right there kind of made me think about what it's like to be a black man. That you
Right.
have that you have to hide and lock up any pain, right? And then
Hmm.
the sad thing about it, I know this might be controversial, but that's why I'm here. A lot of time, our women don't create a space to where we can be vulnerable and show our emotions. I remember years ago, I worked for the Department of Corrections, and this one brother I was cool with, he started dating this young lady who was a captain there. She was really, 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 really attractive, right? And I remember him telling me, and he telling me like, Malik, I went over her house and we were talking, and I was telling her how hard it is, how I was just trying to get everything together, and so it's like I started crying, and she looked at me and she's like, "You weak," and I'm looking at him, and he's like, "Yeah." She looked at me and said I was weak because I was crying, but it was painful because I'm doing everything I can. I'm struggling. I'm trying to pay the bills. I'm trying to do all these things, trying to take care of my daughter. And she looked at me and said I'm weak, and I'm like, what do you want from a man? And she like, I don't want a man that's gonna cry, right? And so it's like when the person that you lay with, right, won't let you be human, right? She got it in her mind that you got to be hard and strong. Where do you get a chance to have a space to where you can be human and release those feelings, right? Because like Steve and I was talking, as black men, well, men in general, we're taught that you got to be the protector and the provider. But because of systemic issues and systemic racism, many black men, right, aren't able to do that. Now, right now, I got two strong brothers who, are millionaires with me right here, right? And Steve and Joe. But everybody's not millionaires. Yeah, y'all millionaires. I want everybody to know y'all millionaires. But the thing about it, everybody's not millionaires. I know brothers who aren't working,
Hmm.
right? I know brothers who are struggling so bad that they on Snap. And there's nothing wrong
Hmm.
with being on Snap, but when you
Not at
being
all.
taught when you being taught as a man that you supposed to provide and you don't have enough money to pay your rent, you can't pay your car note, right? Um, what does that do to your idea of masculinity? And then it's like you have this whole high value man coming around that talking them talking points, right?
Oh man, listen.
you know
Don't even get me started on a lot of these podcasts and stuff, man, where toxic masculinity and it's like, come on. It's the same old stuff. We all take a different approach to things, and I guess the whole toxic masculinity thing comes up now because it's almost like this awakening among women, if you will.
Right.
Like, you know, uh, and it's kind of like the women's lib movement all over again when they saying, well, this man ain't gonna tell me what to do and this, that, and the other. And it's like, it's not about just telling you what to do, but sometime when you're wrong, a man can tell you that, yeah, you're wrong. That doesn't make him toxic. That just makes him aware of the situation and telling you how he feels.
Right.
And to some women, a man that feels things or sees things in you that he don't like and he verbalizes it, that makes him toxic or even weak to a certain extent. It's like, man, where's all of this coming from?
I whenever I'm going back to my teaching mode here, right? Whenever I talk to my students, I tell them that whenever they come up with a construct, they have to define it so we can make sure we're talking about the same thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm,
And a lot of times, this whole concept of toxic masculinity, I think it started off in a good space,
mm-hmm,
but it manifests itself and grew to mean manhood in general, right?
mm-hmm,
The way it initially started to is like if you if your masculinity is rooted in you not being able to express your emotions, those emotions that you don't express become toxic and they can kill you. Just like Steve was saying earlier, it creates things like high blood pressure. You
mm-hmm.
get stroke, diabetes. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Those type of things. You don't know how to emotionally regulate yourself. You have a lot of brothers out here. I mean, it's like one of the things I've noticed is brothers don't respect brothers anymore because we gotta be hard. Showing that you not hard in their mind makes you soft and make you vulnerable to an attack. You can't say thank you to another brother. You know, if brother hold the door for you, say thank you. You know what I'm saying? They look at you soft. You hold the door for another brother, and they just walk out like you were supposed to do that, right? It's like that. You know what I'm saying? Because we being taught that, and we bathing in that, it becomes like bathing in sewage water, right? That's what I look at when I look at what for toxic masculinity. Now, unfortunately, there's a duality to things. If you saying that masculinity can be toxic, femininity can be toxic too, right? So when you sitting here saying that um you want as far as women, when you constantly talking about men doing something, and you got to look at the whole concept that where it's like femininity can be toxic as well. So it's not just a one-sided board. Um, it's just like what you said, Joe. It's like sometimes I ain't gonna say all women, all sisters, but sometimes sisters want that cake and they want to eat it too. They want you to be the protector and the provider, right? But it's like, well, then if you the protector and provider, what is their role? Right? What is it that their role is, right? So it's like it comes with a duality. Sometimes it's even more than just a duality. It comes with different roles. So it's like as men, what I would encourage all men is to get in touch with our emotions, get in touch with our strengths, get in touch with our weaknesses. Um, Not only learn how to respect the community, learn how to respect our family, learn how to respect ourselves in a holistic, healthy way, right? But when our sisters, our girlfriends, our wives, our mothers are feeding us this toxicity of that we can't show our emotions and they get mad when a man don't show his emotions and get mad when you telling a man he supposed to be the provider and they get mad when the man's a provider and he's saying that this is what he got to do to be your protector and then you call it toxic, right? you can't have it. You know what I'm saying? You can't have it. All you can't have it always. Sometimes you got to sit back and figure out, well, what's going on in that relationship. Um, yeah, I look at toxic masculinity different to where it's like if a brother don't know how to express their emotions because of the messages that they receive, because the emotions are going to happen, but we keep suppressing them. That's going to cause more, not only psychological health issues, but physical health issues. What you saying, Joe, is true. A lot of people look at that concept of toxic masculinity as just manhood, and that to me is like that's not what it is. It's the fact that we gotta learn how to be a man is not just one way. It's a spectrum. There's different ways you can be a man, and the best way is finding a safe space to where you can let go of those emotions and say the things you need to say and verbalize the thing you need to say. Um, as much as I'm allergic to it, exercise, right? Um, eating right.
Hey man,
Um,
you not allergic to it. You, I remember back in the day, you were that guy that used to lead us.
that was back then.
So
I,
That-
I think
you ain't allergic to it, bro.
I think we live in an environment right now that things are so out of whack, and I think it crosses all racial lines too, because you know, just with men being men, women being women, you can't say things. People cancel you out. It's just an environment that it's sort of like anything goes. Whatever direction you want to go in, I'm right.
right.
I heard a comedian say that some people used to be some people knew stuff, and then there was people that didn't know stuff, and the people that didn't know
Yeah.
stuff they just shut up.
Right,
I mean,
right.
it's kind of funny, but it actually makes sense. I mean, if you're not educated on a certain topic or you don't have an experience in it, it's very difficult for you to speak to it if you've not done the research. And I think to Joe's point, with all these podcasts, people are setting up podcasts and armchair therapists and just blurting out whatever they think is right, just based on their
Right.
own personal experience per se. So it's kind of like the Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 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 Also, the thing is with that whole toxic, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Armchair
Okay.
therapists and
But with that whole toxic masculinity thing, it's also coinciding uh with what I would call blurred masculinity and the whole transgender thing. And if you're a man who expresses himself and does things that's man like, you're kind of looked at funny nowadays in ways that I haven't seen before. Uh, and it's coinciding with the whole acceptance of the transgender movement, ironically. And I find that to be a little interesting. And when I say interesting, I mean I don't like it. Um, like Dave Chappelle said, you can be whatever you want to be. Feel free. But what role do I play in it? Why do I have to, when I'm talking to you, why do I have to use pronouns? When I'm clearly looking at a man, but all of that is like Steve just said, the world is changing now. It's things going on um, that don't necessarily jibe. And I don't know.
It's like I look I look at
Wait a
it
minute.
where it's like I don't know. I don't know. It's like I don't I don't personally care how somebody identify themselves. I want them to have the autonomy to be able to identify themselves. And I say that in the sense to where it's like when you all first knew me, I had a different name, right? And then I through my spiritual journey became a Muslim and converted. Now I'm not trying to equate the two, but it's like because of the love and respect for me you all had, y'all kind of disavowed my old name and start calling me Malik. Um, so it's like if somebody told me, and when people tell me that they identify as non-binary or they identify as trans, I look at it to where it's like I try to give them that same respect because they had that autonomy to identify who they want. So it's like, irregardless, I try to treat everybody with the utmost respect that they feel they want because I want to be treated with the utmost respect, and I have been. Because like now, a lot of people know me, and they only know me as Malik Raheem, and I usually tell them put a doctor in front of that. Not you all. You all were blessed to know me before my spiritual transition to Islam to becoming Malik Raheem, and it's like
Oh, we were blessed to know you.
Yes, yes, the omen.
I'm just messing with you, bro.
The
I'm just
omen.
messing with you.
The funny thing is, before you got on, I was telling the story about me becoming the omen, and how that name, the omen, was just like a reflection of what I thought about masculinity and manhood, as far as how I projected it, right? Because I was getting messages of being scary, being demonic, um, and even though I was Catholic and I was an altar boy at the time, it was like because I was so quiet and dark skinned at the school I went to and all this stuff, I was, you know, categorized as being scary, right? And then soon after, that's when I started seeing the movies, The Omen, and all this stuff, and Damien, and all that crazy, the 666, and all that crazy stuff. To where it's like when Orlando, God rest his soul, told me just pick a name that you think represents you, right? And y'all had all these cool names like Top Cat and all this stuff, and I was never that fun-loving person, you know, and so it's like that's how I came up with The Omen. But anyway, I digress. I don't like telling people my old name. People ask me, "What was your name before you became Malik?" I don't want to tell you because a lot of times people are not saying that out of curiosity. They saying it so they can be disrespectful. So it's like a lot of times they'll come and start calling me by my former name before, you know what I'm saying? And that's so hurtful, right? To where they won't even let me, identify myself. It's like I have family members who won't even acknowledge Malik Raheem, right? They'll still address me by my old name. And out of respect for them as my family member, I just like whatever, and move on. But that's hurtful. So it's like when I find somebody who say they non-binary, or I find somebody who say they trans, I know it's not the equivalent, but it's like I know the hurt I have when I have family members, cousins, you know what I'm saying, who won't call me by Malik. They'll call me by my old name. But out of love and respect for them, I just say, okay. Because that's how they know me. That's how they knew me growing up, So I don't even say nothing about it, right? But if they say it around one of their friends try to call me, I correct them. Like, they can call me that because I love them and respect them. I'm going to let them slide. I'm not. And so it's like I just it's different. So so it's like I don't want to disrespect anybody in that way because I know the hurt I get when the little bitty thing of them calling me my old name makes me feel. So it's like I like to let people I like to let people have the autonomy to identify who they want to be, you know, and it's like,
That's a different.
huh?
That's a different perspective. I never thought about it in that way.
Right?
That
Regardless on how I feel about them,
yeah.
it's like if I want the respect of people calling me Malik Raheem, Doctor Malik Raheem. I mean, even now you got these people in the administration that try to say my doctorate is not relevant because it was given to me because I'm black. I worked hard for this,
Right,
right? I
right.
studied hard for this. You know what I'm saying? I have a doctorate of education, right? That means I'm a master teacher. So it's like the thing is if you want to belittle this, just like that brother rest his soul talking about if a black pilot got on the plane, I get nervous.
No,
You
we
know,
ain't. No, don't rest his soul. He was a stone cold racist. Fuck him.
but
He literally he
anyway,
literally talking out the side of his neck.
he
Hey,
Nah,
brothers,
man.
I excuse.
but what I'm saying is that
I'm gonna
it's
have to
like
drop. I don't want to just hang up, but I gotta drop.
okay, well we're about to wind down anyway. We're about to
Okay.
wind down anyway. But
Sorry
it's
about
just
that, man. That's just how I
no.
Uh,
feel.
I understand, and this is a safe space for you to be express how you feel. But it's like the thing is that I'm just saying it's like I don't feel comfortable, you know, when people start telling me that I'm not qualified because of this or that. You know,
Right, right, right.
I taught at different universities, and I had students that don't look like us, not like me, not like my teaching style, and one of the main reasons was because of my race.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They thought I was inferior to some of their white professors,
Right.
right? But it's like the funny thing about it is when they left my class, they were implementing the stuff I taught them,
Mm.
right? So, um, so it's like it's hurtful being, you know, a black man in a profession that's dominated by white people, and I know you can speak to that real
For
heavy,
sure.
right? And it's like you know, the thing is like I know you, I grew up with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you can outrun, outlift, outwork any fireman in your station,
Mm-hmm.
damn near any fireman in the city of Chicago. But
Mm-hmm.
you got these fools walking around looking and saying, "Well, he's black. He only got it because he's black." No, you worked
Right,
hard for that.
right,
You
right.
passed that test,
Yep,
right?
yep.
You did all that stuff. You've been a firefighter for what 20 some odd years.
20 years.
Yeah, and it's like because you're a black man, they'll try to belittle that. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
I look at it to where it's like I don't want to belittle anybody because how they identify. Whether I, whether I like it or not, don't matter to me. You like it, cool. That's what you want to be called, cool. It ain't no skin off my nose, you know.
Mm-hmm.
F it, you know, because the pain I felt when I see. I mean, I remember when I working at this place called River Edge. I know you got to go, and I'm gonna close down in a second. I worked at this place called River Edge, and this nurse, she looked at my name. She said, "Oh, how do you pronounce your name?" I'm like Malik. She's like, is it okay if I called you Michael? I said, yeah, you call me Michael. I'm not gonna answer, but you call me Michael. You call me Michael. I'm not gonna answer, you know,
And the
because
thing
my
is,
name
so
is Malik.
right. And the thing is, why would you even consider that? You know, she knows your name. She knows how to pronounce it. So why? Why Michael?
because
You
it's
know.
gonna make her feel more comfortable. It's gonna make her feel more comfortable, right? And it's like, and so it's like, I don't want to put that pain on anybody else.
Hmm.
Well, I feel uncomfortable around what you want me to call you, so I'm gonna do this. No, because it's like, even if I feel like the ultimate judge is God, Allah, I'm not. That's not me. You whatever that could be my test. You know what I'm saying? That could be my test. So it's like, as a clinician, as an educator, I'm trying to heal anybody and everybody. Anybody that comes to me for help, I'm trying to heal them of their ailments. So it's like, if people who follow Charlie Kirk come to me, and when I say people who follow Charlie Kirk, I mean some of these, like Officer Tatum and all these other,
Oh God.
Candace Owens. They come to me.
Oh man.
I'm gonna do my best to help them. Help them see what the true beauty of the African diaspora and the black community really is. And stop trying to make a quick buck off of us.
And
Stephen
I would love to be a fly on the wall when that meeting would take place, brother, because I,
A.
I I really want to know. Uh, Especially that Officer Tatum guy. Now I saw a video of him. He was boohooing after Charlie Kirk got killed, but then on the other hand, he was saying that he would not cry
For his
if
wife and
say
kid.
like, yeah, and I'm like, brother, I mean, what's I don't I don't understand, man. It's something about uh blogger that just mystifies me. I don't what's what's going through their head.
Anti-blackness, capitalism. They feel that a lot of them feel that they gotta do that because that's where their money lies, and they'll sell their soul, and excuse the way I say this, prostitute themselves for the dollar.
But
And it,
we've had example in history. We've had examples of how you get you, and then once the rubber meets the road, you get tossed aside because then you realize like, hey, you're still black.
we
And
realize that
yeah, but
they think they different.
okay.
They they think they different.
How does the
But
song? How,
you get your Negro wake up call.
yeah,
But they think they different. They think my understanding, Officer Tatum is starting to get his Negro wake up call.
yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
Candace Owens got hers.
Like the song said, I'm not black, I'm OJ. Okay.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. That's good. Yeah. So, yeah, man, was good seeing you, brother.
Good seeing you too, man. Good seeing you. Yeah, we got to get together. We got to get back on our breakfast thing, man.
Yes, we do, and I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to it. Thank you for joining us for our first event. Um, like I said earlier, we plan on having other virtual events,
Okay.
and hopefully soon we'll start, being able to have physical events. But and just having people come out. We had that event at White Sox Park with the Juneteenth, and hopefully when baseball season we'll do that. We're
Yeah.
working on trying to get some Bulls
Okay.
tickets too. So we'll keep
Cool.
it. We'll keep that all
Cool.
going. All right. Well,
Yeah,
thank you, sir.
I'm kind of into the Bulls now, man. Again, they acting like they got some sense, but
Yeah, we need Josh Giddey and Kobe White to get off that injured list though.
yeah, yeah, yeah. What you think about AD, man? Possibly, because that rumor is strong out here now.
I don't know how strong it really is, but from what I've been seeing, I think they giving up too much for him.
Yes. Yes.
I like Anthony Davis, but I think they giving up way too much for him.
Yeah.
I mean, they give up Vucevic and Kobe White and draft picks.
No. No.
That's the latest I saw. I mean, I think that's too much. I would like to see a healthy Anthony. I wouldn't mind seeing a healthy Anthony Davis
Right.
with the Josh Giddey,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then Io DeSumo and a Kobe White.
Yeah.
I really love Vooch. If we keep Vooch the whole year, I'd be happy with that because
Mm-hmm.
he been playing rejuvenated.
Yes, he
You know,
has.
he been
Yeah.
playing rejuvenated. So I have no problem keeping Vooch for the rest of this year. But if they gonna trade him, I will. You know, I wish him well. I still root for him because I always been a Vooch fan. I'm really happy to see him doing the things he's doing. He rejuvenated. He playing hard. But I'd be sad to see him go. But for Anthony Davis, only thing I'm scared of with Anthony Davis is he allergic to basketball, like I'm allergic to exercise. You know, he go get out there. You know, you probably gonna be picking up you. Well, you don't drive an ambulance, but one of your colleagues gonna be picking him up from the ambulance. You know, everybody else gonna be coming out in their chauffeur. You know, limos and G wags. He gonna be coming out in his chauffeur and ambulance. But
You know, it's kind of cruel, but you know what his nickname is, right?
uh,
Street clothes.
oh, street clothes. I thought it was glass. I thought it was glass, like in the movie. He got breakable bones of glass.
Yeah.
Street clothes.
They call them street clothes.
Street clothes all day street clothes. He gonna be showing you the new latest fashions. But yeah, but that's the only thing I worry about is because he's so injury prone. But when he not injured, he a
Right,
beast.
right.
You know,
Yeah,
so
and
like
I think they need what he could offer them when he's healthy, and that's like a constant or reliable score. You know, when the game is tight at the end, somebody you can get it to, and they're gonna get you buckets. You know,
right,
because I
right,
noticed with them is they could have a good game, man, but toward the end, it's like they lose focus. And if it's close at the end, they don't really have like, that guy.